Okay, hello everyone. Thank you all for coming. Okay, let's continue. Master Shenhua's with Master Shenhua's teachings.
I can also tell you, you take me as your master, you definitely cannot be casual or careless. Say it's like that, it's not okay. Once I start talking, I will go non-stop.
Okay, 今天就是还有一个事情，有人呢打了妄想了，说那做念走。
There's one more thing. Somebody had a false thought. They said, we sit, recite, and walk.
走着念半个钟头，坐着念半个钟头，那也连大小便的时间都没有，那怎么办呢？
Walk and recite for half an hour. Sit and recite for half an hour. There's no time to use the restroom. What to do?
你不要忧愁这个事情啊。那个站着念佛的时候，可以看着那个厕所呀空闲的时候可以去。那么坐着。
You don't need to worry about that. During the period of standing recitation, you may go when the restroom is available.
的时候是不可以去的，那么你们哪一个如果有过这个公事
But you may not go while sitting. If any one of you has such business.
可以在这个念佛那个期间呢，绕佛的时候可以去办去，不必忧愁这个问题。
You can go when we are reciting the Buddha's name during the circumambulation. You can go. There is no need to worry about this problem.
Stop. I wonder why he wouldn't allow people to go to the restroom while they're doing a sitting recitation. Anyone has any clues? I just don't understand. What's the big deal? Reciting is just reciting. Whether you recite standing or sitting, it's the same thing. No? Anyone? Yes, yellow, 4, 1.
Thank you, Master. My guess would be when you sit, you should try and focus. So it's part of the sit training. That's something that when we were at Lu Mountain Temple, I would focus on. Just sit until you can't sit anymore, then do whatever you have to do.
Yeah, it's probably it. Because maybe these are new people, so they should concentrate more on sitting training, maybe half an hour training. But to me, there shouldn't be any discrimination between sitting and standing, especially when nature calls. You know what I mean? Some people would take this to heart and say, I'm not going to move. Okay, I'd be worried. Okay, so maybe at the time it's okay for them to, for his disciples not to go while sitting and reciting the Buddha's name. But for us, there's no such restrictions, okay? Let's make it clear. We are a lot more advanced than they were. Okay, continue, please.
念佛的叫横超三界，待业往生。
Reciting the Buddha's name Dhamma allows us to directly transcend the three realms and rebirths with our karma.
什么叫横超三界呢？横超就是走的路很少，成就的功德就很大。
What is directly transcend the three realms? It means that one travels a short distance and yet achieves great merits and virtue.
修其他的法门，要一步一步的去修行。
With other practices, one has to cultivate one step at a time.
As we continue, I wonder if we should change the translation of Heng Chao to something else, because Heng Chao to me doesn't mean transcend the triple realms. It has a connotation of going horizontal instead of ascending. When you improve, when you are climbing up the ladder of samadhi levels, whereas Heng Chao is you don't need to do that hard climb, but you can get out of the well, you will, so that you don't need to climb up. You can just simply go outside. The analogy is that in order to escape birth and death, the process of Chan meditation and non-Pure Land practices in Buddhism is about equivalent to climbing up. You need to climb up the well, you will. Okay, you need to climb up the well in order to get out of the well. Whereas the Pure Land Dharma door is that you don't need to climb all the way up. You only climb. You dig yourself out. You get out from the side. Okay, so that's what Heng Chao really means. I don't know how they translate it into transcend triple realm. The connotation is a lot easier for you to go horizontal, less effort, than climbing up. Okay, it's just too much work, a lot more demanding for most people, and most of us don't have the strength to climb up like this. Okay, long distances, big heights, great heights, we can't do that. Whereas we can go horizontal. Is a lot more manageable for us. That's the picture. That's the imagery that this Heng Chao conveys. Transcending a triple realm is not enough. They won't take this Pure Land Amador seriously. So let's continue and see what he has to teach about the Heng Chao San Jie, to horizontally transcend. Heng is horizontal, Chao is transcend. The triple realm. Okay, that should be a translation, unless you can find a better translation. But let's continue. Let's not be too picky about the words.
像修禅，修初禅天、二禅天、三禅天、四禅天。
For instance, with meditation, to reach the first, second, third, and then the fourth dhyana heaven.
一步一步的才能成就。
One attains one level at a time.
念佛的法门呢，你得在娑婆世界这儿念南无阿弥陀佛。
However, for the Buddha's name recitation Dhamma, when you recite Namo Amitabha in the Saha world,
极乐世界那个莲花呀，就生出来。
your lotus will grow in the land of ultimate bliss.
你念佛念得多，那莲花就生得大；你念佛念得少，那莲花它就小。
The more you recite, the bigger the lotus. The less you recite, the smaller the lotus.
你要念佛不念了，那个莲花呢也就干了，也就没有。
If you recite and then stop, the lotus wilts and disappears.
所以你念佛的法门呢，叫横超三界。
Reciting the Buddha's name Dhamma allows one to transcend horizontally.
三界就是欲界、色界、无色界。欲界，咱们人所住的这个世界，和这个六欲天，这都叫欲界。
The three realms are the desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm. Human beings and the beings of the six desire heavens live in the desire realm.
有色界天，又有无色界天。那么念佛怎么叫横超呢？就好像一个竹子，一个竹子里边有一个虫子。
How do we transcend the three realms horizontally through Buddha's name recitation? It's like a worm inside a piece of bamboo.
这个虫子呢，要是顺着这个竹子往上去，咬透了一节。
If it travels vertically inside the hollow bamboo, it has to gnaw through one section.
那么又要咬第二节、第三节、第四节、第五节，那么一路咬到。
Then the second section, the third section, the fourth section, fifth section, one section at a time.
咬透了，把这个竹子，这个有一节一节的，这里边它们在里边向上咬，向上呢这个虫子咬这个节，咬过一个又要有一个，那么这是经过很多的竹子的节，然后才能出去这个竹。
It has to gnaw through one section after another, and has to go through many sections before it gets out of the bamboo.
那么要是 你这个虫子它要聪明，在打横着咬，横着咬，这个竹子一咬就咬通了，咬通了它就可以出去了。
However, if the worm is smart, it can gnaw a hole horizontally through the side of the bamboo. Then it can get out.
我们念佛法门呢，就好像这个虫子呢，在这个竹筒子里，竹筒子一颗竹筒子里横着咬出去一样。你用的功夫啊虽然少，但是它成就是很大的。
Buddha recitation Dharma is like the worm gnawing through the bamboo horizontally. It takes less effort, but the achievement is great.
所以这叫横超三界。
So, this is called transcending the three realms horizontally.
Okay, so stop. It's impressive when I first heard of this his way of explaining this, the worm gnawing through the bamboo stalk as it tried to escape vertically, and his explanations. To me, I disagree with the way to explain the rationale behind it. Maybe it works for the Asians. It doesn't work for me. If you understand the process, it doesn't quite work like this. I'm not sure, for example, that if you stop reciting the Buddha's name, your lotus will wither and die. I'm not sure about that. Okay? If you recite the Buddha's name to me, you planted the seeds for rebirth to the Pure Land. And I haven't been there yet, okay, so I can't tell you. But to me, logically, it doesn't work like, you need to recite in order to keep the lotus alive. Then, for example, if that's the case, suppose you recite the Buddha's name your entire life, and at the last minute, you don't make it to the Pure Land, and you go to become a worm that's born in a bamboo stalk. Okay, does that mean that your lotus will die, and that's it? And then all the effort you put in goes to waste? See my problem? The imagery doesn't make sense to me. It basically says, if you recite Buddha's name, great. You have to keep reciting, you stop, your lotus is going to die. Maybe it's partially true, but to me, from a perfectionist way of thinking, it's not quite true. Because when you're telling me is that you are a slave to reciting the Buddha's name, if you stop, you're going to lose it all. And that doesn't make sense. Okay, I don't like that explanation. Okay, it used to bother me because, what happened is in the past, I heard about this because when I was cultivating on my own, without any direction, without any help from anyone that I could ask for directly, I heard of this reciting Buddha's name, Dharma door, and so I practiced it for a while, like I practice many different Dharma doors as well. It's not unlike you nowadays who have so many choices. Back then I didn't know anyone, didn't have any resources. So I only, my primary source of information are Master Hsuan's teachings and some Chinese texts and some translations of other teachers as well. But So I had to recite the Buddha's name, I had to try it. And I tried it, and then I switched back to Chan meditation because it's the end of the year, so I had to do Chan meditation as per our tradition. So I did Chan meditation, and then I asked myself, if I do Chan, does it mean my lotus will die, will wither and die? So how can I possibly do Chan if, some of you might think like that. After this week, you start doing Chan, you start reciting Buddha's name, lotus is going to wither and die? I hope not. I don't think it's the case. The Chinese, they're too, I think they're too naive. If I were to listen to it nowadays, I would say, Master, I would ask him exactly that. I mean, does it mean I'm a slave to reciting Buddha's name forever? Otherwise, my recitation goes to waste? Of course not. Okay? So it's illogical to me that they shouldn't explain. They should explain to their own kind. Maybe these Chinese or Asians wouldn't mind because that's all they do. They recite the Buddha's name. They have no objection to it. But sometimes we're busy. We don't have time. Like during a Chan Chi, we do Chan. We don't do Buddha's name. Not specifically. To the point where when I was considering doing the Huatou, and I had to do, if I do Huatou, I will lose all my Buddha's name recitation every day that I've been doing until then. So what am I going to do? So I said, what about we do, if I were to do the Huatou, who's reciting Buddha's name? Okay? And that, I couldn't tell whether it's equivalent to reciting Buddha's name or not when you do that Huatou. Okay? So it's confusing to me. So for third generation, I propose you strike out all these, just do not imitate the Asians. Strike out this lotus flower withering until you verify it, okay? I cannot verify that, and I disagree. It's logically, it's illogical to me, all right? That's the first part. And the other part about the worm doing that, again, the imagery is too Asian for me. I can't figure what it's like to be a worm gnawing through the bamboo stalks. Maybe the Asians have no problems imagining that. Anyone? I mean, so it's too simplistic to me to explain it for my taste as a Western educated person. Okay, the thing which should be explained, if I were to explain it, is explain what we've been doing. What we've been doing is, the imagery that the Asians use, the Chinese use as a worm gnawing through a section of the bamboo, where at the joint there, it's very, very hard, so it's a lot of hard work, okay, to gnaw through that. And you have to climb up in the hollow part of it, then move on to the next section where the joint is also extremely, extremely hard, okay? And that's the imagery they're doing. And so this is equivalent to what we're doing, when the emphasis is increasing your samadhi power. For you to go from one level or one section to the next, it's very, very hard. At that point, and that intersection right there, and that section, that joint right there, it's very, very hard to break through. That's the imagery. But to use a worm, to me, is kind of too vague. Yes, 7.
From Brady, if you are a worm, perhaps the individual segments within the bamboo are easier to gnaw through than the outer stalk.
I'm coming to that. Okay. Good point. I'm glad some Chinese people are understanding this imagery here. Please help me out. I'm not Chinese, so I fail to understand why it makes sense to you.
It's from Brady.
From Brady? Not even Ray? Come on, Chinese people, help us out. Asians, help us out. So to me, the concept about Buddhist practice is hard work. No two ways about it. It's hard work because to climb horizontally is hard work. Okay? So it's just like cultivation. You have to go vertically, and not only is it difficult because you slip, you try climbing up a rope, climbing up a stick, your gravity will pull you down. So it's very difficult, very challenging for you, physically demanding. But what's typical is that section there, that joint right there, is extremely hard. It's so hard to gnaw through. It's correct. The imagery is correct. However, we shouldn't use the imagery of the worm. To me, it just doesn't make sense. It has many flaws, many potential misunderstandings. Okay, it's true. The teaching from Pure Land school is that without Pure Land, for you to transcend the triple realm, this is the concept here. For you to transcend the triple realm, meaning to get out of this wheel on reincarnation. Okay, let's bring it back to something you understand. Okay, this triple realm here is what, as Master YongHua explained, form realm, the desire realm where we are. And then on top of it, there is a form realm. And on top of it, there's a formless realm. Okay. Then on top of it, okay, you get to the peak, and that's all we know. Okay. Everything you learn in this world, all worldly knowledge, non-Buddhist worldly knowledge, will bring you to the top. That's it. And after that, they really struggle. I've seen people like that, even at our temple. They excel doing the non-Buddhist practices for many, many years, and get up there to the peak of the triple realm, okay, 8th samadhi, and they stuck. They have no clues on how to get out. Why not? Because they were not well prepared to continue. Buddhism is that we go way beyond that. That's why when we train you, we pave the way for you to keep going and keep going and keep going and not rest. Whereas, so that's why the vision matters. The end goal matters. Okay? The end goal of Buddhism is you should settle for no less than being a Buddha. Anything else is not worth it for you. Maybe you won't do it this lifetime, but it's a very key point here. Even if you cannot do it this lifetime, you still set your goal, meaning bringing forth a Bodhi. It's very simple. In Buddhism, it's called bringing forth a Bodhi, which means I want to become a Buddha. And that alone is itself sets an end goal for you. Okay? That you will get to that state, Buddha state. And when you do that, in front of us, when you take refuge, when you say, I want to bring forth a Bodhi mind, so forth, your desire, your wish, is being registered with the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. That's how powerful it is. That wish of yours is being recognized. And it's stuck in you, here, now and forever. Whether next time you become a worm, a real worm yourself, the Buddha and Bodhisattva will also know that, yes, you, even though you're a worm, you still wish to become a Buddha. Is that clear? So that's why the end goal matters. Okay? Give an example in terms of education. When you go to college where the program ends at master's degree or bachelor's degree, okay? It's not as good to go to a college where they actually go all the way to PhD and postdoctorate and so forth, because they need to prepare you for that. They need to have coursework for you to prepare for that. Whereas if the end goal is master's degree or bachelor's degree, all they need to do for you is provide the coursework to get there, and they're done. That's a contract between you and them. Okay? That's the difference between Buddhism and non-Buddhism. Okay? Non-Buddhism, someone want to go to see Allah, and someone want to go see God and so forth, because that's the end goal they set for themselves. They don't need to go any further. The yogis, they want to go to become, the so-called enlightened, and that brings you to the top of the desire realm. Okay? And that's what they prepared to do. For us Buddhists, we want to go all the way, be all we can be, if you will. Okay? So that alone is a tremendous blessing. Don't settle for anything less than that. It's our thinking. Okay? You deserve it. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Q&A.
Hello, Master. Is there any way to measure our level of cultivation of Pure and Dharma? Like in Chan, we have samadhi levels and so on. Is there something before we die? How can we know how close we are towards that goal of getting to Pure Land?
Not that I know of. Okay, it doesn't quite work like that. Okay, Pure Land is different from Chan. Let me finish my point here. Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, that's fine. Okay, so it's very important for you to set the proper goals where, yes, you climb because you want to go all the way. Okay, that's the Buddhist mindset. All right, it's not something that you can understand. Okay, you're not supposed to be able to understand it. Don't convince yourself, yes, I can see it, I can understand it. You can't, because it's outside of your thinking. It's not possible for you to understand. Okay, but other people who got there, they started by just like you. They don't need to understand, and they got there. Okay, and you try to understand. The understanding there is what keeps you back. I can't be more blunt than that. Those people I've been talking to recently who insist on having a reason, an explanation for everything that happens in Chan, in Pure Land, that insistence on understanding is what's keeping them back. Whereas some others just come here, for example, just to follow the schedule, experience it, they are making progress already instead of trying to understand. Okay, so it's that insecurity, if you will, that you want to be sure. Okay, that you can only depend on yourself is what's stopping you. Yes, 7.
From ML, Master, you said as the worm climbs, it will slip because of gravity and the slippery surface. Is there a way to reduce this slipperiness so one can have better, faster progress?
You have to ask the Chinese. I don't like that analogy, so I don't care to elaborate on what to do when this worm slips. I don't care. I'm sorry. I don't want to add to that myth of the Chinese worm. I've never met a Chinese worm. I don't care for Chinese worms. I find them to be confusing. I don't care to continue to propagate this thinking, the Chinese thinking, which I'm not impressed. Okay, so sorry, I don't know. So again, so cultivation in Buddhism is to ascend, is comparable to ascend, not necessarily like a worm, but we need to go up vertically, okay? We need to raise our purity of the mind, which is very hard to do. Your mind is very difficult to purify. Okay, you give me a piece of metal. I can purify a piece of metal with fire and ice, fire and water, okay, eventually. But it doesn't work with the mind. The mind is so tricky, okay? So the purification there is very difficult. But fortunately for us, we don't need to do it all at once. We do it one step at a time, like Hinayana does, okay? And then until you reach a certain level, then we can help you do leaps through sudden improvements, okay? But it is rather a difficult thing to do. So that's the analogy that the Asians, the Chinese in particular, like to use for the Pure Land School is the worm gnawing through the bamboo stalk and climbing up to get out. Okay? Because why? Because it's the nature of the worm is to be able to crawl, to roll. Okay? So it crawls around. Eventually, it crawls and goes up to the joint and gnaws to it because it's imprisoned. Okay, it's disoriented. In the Pure Land School, the concept of the worm is that instead of going up like that vertically, you should gnaw outside and climb up. It's easier. Okay, so that's the imagery that the Chinese Pure Land School would like to present to us, that if you have to gnaw through the stalk anyway, to gnaw on the side walls is a lot easier than to gnaw through the joint section. So that's the imagery. Okay? So it's true. It's true in that sense. For you, in this lifetime, to reach to get out of the stock or get out of the three realms, it's rather difficult. It's actually very difficult, virtually impossible as per the Chinese. That's their analogy of the joints. You keep gnawing, so many joints. Eventually, you need new teeth or something. Okay, did you have a question, sir? Yes. I need a number. 9.
I have a question. Why does Buddhism have a lot of imagery regarding the lotus plant?
What about lotus plant?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of imagery in Buddhism regarding the lotus, like sitting in full lotus, or like there's a lot of imagery about lotus. And so I was just wondering why. I don't know.
Someone explained to him why lotus. This is like so low. I don't answer questions like this. Sorry. Someone help him out. Why we use lotus as imagery in Buddhism? Uh-oh, no one knows except for Diego. 8.
Because the lotus flower, it kind of like the seed is growing in muddy waters, and when it's born, it just like blooms so beautiful. And even though it's in muddy waters, it's white and it's pure. So it reminds us that we have to be like the lotus flower. Like we are in the world, there's a lot of things that we don't have to get attached to and always remain pure.
Yes? Very good. Anyone else? Yes, the old monks, number 6.
Ở Di Đà Phật, cái hoa sen thường nó nở cái chỗ có nước và thấp. Rồi chỗ thấp là cái gì? Là cứt trâu, cứt bò, những cái gì dơ dái nhất nó chảy về ở đó. Mà cái hoa sen nó sống cho đó nó lên được. Mà lên được thì có hương thơm rất là tinh khiết. Thì cái nó tượng trưng cho chúng ta sống trong cái cõi này thì bao nhiêu đau khổ, bao nhiêu dồn dập. Mà chúng ta nương cái đau khổ đó mà lên trở thành một cái người có ích lợi như cái hoa sen, không nhiễm những cái chiều mà của cuộc đời. Thì con thường thí dụ như mấy Phật tử ở trên Rainforest đó, từ cái đống rác, từ cái chỗ mà homeless bỏ chúc chích rồi dơ dái móc meo, mà cũng giống như là dơ dái nhất của cái xóm đó về cái khu đó. Thì mấy anh chị Phật tử trên đó người ta sửa soạn lại, mà nở ra cái hoa sen để pháp môn đầu tiên thầy giảng là Kinh Hoa Nghiêm tại cái chỗ đó. Thì cái chỗ đó giống như một cái hoa sen đó, dơ dái nhất, mọi người ghê tởm nhất. Bây giờ trở thành một cái chỗ để mà pháp môn cái đạo tràng giảng Kinh Hoa Nghiêm. Thì con thường nói cái chỗ đó cũng giống với hoa sen đó. Xin hết.
Master, from what I understand, the lotus flower, it's grow in the lower area, like where there is water, and then because the land is low, so usually all of the dirty stuff will concentrate in there, and then the lotus will rise above it, and then it will bloom, and the flowers has a very nice fragrance, a very pure fragrance. So it's similar to us that we live in this Saha world, that we have to endure a lot of suffering, a lot of bad thing, but we can also be like the flower, the lotus flower, that we will not be contaminated with all of the bad thing in this world, then that's the meaning of it. And then I usually tell the people, like, it's similar to Go Forest. When we first got the place, it's like a dump field, like where the homeless people, they throw trash and then they do all kind of bad thing in there. And then after that, all of the volunteer, the people continue to come and clean that place up and build it. Now we have a beautiful place, and then Master Juice go for us to start explaining the Flower Adornment Sutra. So, like they transform a dirty place that nobody wants, an eyesore of the community, into a very beautiful place that the way place for Avatamsaka Sutra. So that's a very good thing.
Okay, very good. 5.
Dạ, bạch thầy, con xin nói là cái hoa sen đó tượng trưng cho Phật tánh của con người ta. Còn cái bùn á thuộc về cái thế gian, cho nên Phật nói mình phải ở trong cái Phật tánh của mình để mà luôn đừng có bị nhiễm cái ô uế đó.
So, Master, I understand that the flower is similar to our Buddha nature, and the mud is equivalent to our Saha world. So the Buddha wants to remind us that we need to always stay inside our Buddha nature and should not be contaminated with all of the bad things from the world.
Very good. Anyone else would like to add their 2 cents worth? Number one.
Thank you, Master. In my simple view, the lotus flower resembles the path to enlightenment. First, the seed is in the mud, and it's subject to all sorts of mean and nasty things, and bugs and ants and things with claws, and it grows up in the
Bad
mud.
odors.
And then it gets to the water, and then it's subject to crocodiles and underwater vampires and bosses and cryptocurrency markets and all these mean and nasty things under the water. And it keeps growing and growing. And if it's lucky, one day it breaks through to a new realm, which is the air. And then it blossoms into a beautiful flower that couldn't have been in those first two places. And that's kind of the enlightenment moment, when it's blossoming on the surface of the water.
Very good. Q&A.
Beautiful Master, the symbol of the lotus flower, that the seed that you see on the lotus and the flower is right there also. So in the Buddha nature, you can be awaited a certain teaching that you can be as soon as you have the seed and then you have the flower at the same time.
Very good. Excellent. Oh yeah, and all your answers are very, very good. Yeah, we can talk forever and continue on this, because it's a very powerful imagery. It is a symbol of the perfection, the accomplishment of the Buddhist spiritual practice. Okay, the Buddhist spiritual practice, I'd like to stress to you, in contrast to the other Buddhists, the current trend of Buddhist explanation is that the Buddhist practice, in this Buddhist practice, in order to accomplish this wonderful thing called, the wonderful accomplishment called this lotus flower, which is awakening, which is enlightenment. Okay, you need the proper ingredients of dirt and all the bad stuff in the world. Okay, without all the bad stuff, there won't be any lotus. Therefore, this imagery is a reminder for us in Mahayana people that, in contrast, contrary to the prevalent Buddhist practices of isolating themselves behind four walls and separating themselves from the undesirable people, you're not worthy of us. We are loftier, more noble than you. Then if you do that, you will not accomplish a lotus flower. A lotus flower needs the mud, needs the impurity, needs all the undesirable things that the world tries to ignore, try to get away from. That's the reminder for all of us, and reminder especially for the second generation and third generation of Mahayana cultivators, to embrace the mud, not to be afraid of it, okay? To embrace the hardship, to embrace the difficulties, because that's what will help you rise above it. Unless you embrace it, unless you face it, you're willing to face it, and not run away from it, you will not be able to produce a lotus flower. A very important message that the Buddhists and Bodhisattvas gave us. Okay? So for us, for example, in monks and nuns, to say that I'm going to build a big temple and I'm going to stay inside the temple and and I'm going to lead a pure life and I will not engage in the world and where it's so noisy and it's so dirty, it is so icky and all those things, you will not become a Buddha. It's not possible for you to become a Buddha. So get off your high seat, your Tower of Babel, and say, I'm above all of you. Because the Buddhists and Bodhisattvas, you know what? They still go back to the muck and jump into the mud in order to do their work, non-stop. That's the message in Mahayana. Case in point, the Hinayana people don't talk about this lotus flower concept that often because they advocate purity. They're so pure that we are too dirty. They don't want us to make them dirty and bring our mud to them. And that's not the spirit of Mahayana. In Mahayana, we embrace people, all kinds of people, good and bad, desirable and undesirable. Okay, and we, in particular, the undesirable and the bad people are the ones that will help us produce a lotus flower a lot quicker. All right. Okay. Where were we? And so we got the concept of vertical ascension. You have to climb up, okay, and that is to purify your soul, purify your mind, okay. And in the context of lotus flower, if you can purify your mind when it's so dirty, when it's so smelly, okay, then actually you can purify a lot faster. That's why the Buddhists and Bodhisattvas don't mind jumping into the mud at all. If you're weak, then you are better off going out. Okay? So you can tell. You can tell that if you practice Buddhism, you meditate, you recite the Buddha's name, and after all this time, and you're not making progress. Okay, you're not going anywhere near to that lotus flower, that enlightenment, or you're not improving regularly or periodically, then it's time to change. Okay, and for those of us who aren't able to devote a lot of time gnawing through the stalk, working vigorously, day in, day out. That's what it takes. There's no other way, okay? For you to climb up. You cannot stop. You stop, eventually your weight, your gravity will bring you down, okay? And so for those of us who cannot afford, who don't have the time, not because you're inferior, but because we have other commitments to our families, to our children. And so we cannot afford to keep on climbing. We need to take care of our family. Then your best bet for us is to use the Pure Land Dharma door and go to the Pure Land, okay? And stop revolving in this wheel reincarnation. Because you don't get out of wheel reincarnation, the next time, very likely that you will fall to lower realms. Okay, there's a danger here that the worm, the stalk, and imagery doesn't convey to you. There's a sense of urgency. You need to get out as soon as possible. If you don't, it's very, very dangerous. You have no control. what's going to happen to you next lifetime. No one has any control. That's the truth. It doesn't matter to whether you're an emperor or a beggar. It's the same thing. We all lose control. We have no choice. We are a victim of our karmic forces. And just a reminder for you, every day we create more offenses than creating blessings. Let's face it. Yes? So the minuses, the negative things are accruing at a much faster rate every day for us than the pluses. Okay? And therefore, these minuses are like the weight that will pull you down when we die. There's a real danger that people of the world aren't aware of, and not only are they not aware of it, they choose to ignore it because there's nothing they can do about it. Nothing in the worldly knowledge, the worldly store of wisdom enables them to deal with it. Q&A.
Sorry, Master, this is a question from yesterday. So yesterday you mentioned that you talk about some people should only go to Pure Land with gold dials. You also mentioned that for some people maybe they won't even go. Could you explain what those people would rather be doing instead of going to the Pure Land?
They wouldn't go to the Pure Land? Did I say that?
I think you said that. You said some people would only go. Sorry, what? I think you said some people would only go with the gold dials, and for some people they may even not go. Implying that there's something better for them to do instead of going to Pure Land.
No, I never intimated that. No, you misread me. I would never go there because it's too complicated. It's a can of worms I'm not willing to open.
Okay, thank you.
Because a lot of monks and nuns would like to go around telling people, I don't plan to go to the Pure Land, I plan to come back here. To me, it's extremely unwise to come back here. If you have a chance to go to the Pure Land, I strongly urge you to go. So don't disguise the fact you don't have the option to go to the Pure Land. That's why, so most likely, you will stay in this wheel reincarnation. Okay? So cut out the baloney. If you have the chance to go to Pure Land, go. Do not hesitate. Okay? So that's get it out of the way. The Pure Land teachers who claim they will come back to this world again, my advice to you, run. Okay? They're worse than the demons to me because they will pull you down with them to the hells and all those, those places of great suffering. You'll regret it. Okay? The Buddhist, the Mahayana, the official Buddhist Mahayana teaching that comes from the Buddhas, from Master YongHua, from the great Bodhisattvas, from the patriarch, is that go. Do not come back. Let's make it clear. There's no such a thing as anyone in flesh like me, okay, would be so wise they can claim that they want to come back here and continue the work. There's no such baloney. Even my master, Master YongHua, didn't even say that. He never said that I will come back here and finish my work. My interpretation is that I'm out of here. Hey, sayonara. Hey, man, good luck to you. Okay? There's no such a thing as, there's no such a thing he's coming back here. That's baloney. He would never say that. If he did, I wasn't there the whole time, he did, I'd be very disappointed. Okay, that's not the official Buddhist position at all for the teachers and the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, people of great wisdom. They all said, all of them, bar none, said, I want to go to the Pure Land at the end of my life for your sake, not for their sake. Understand that? They don't need to go to the Pure Land, and yet they tell you that the best place for me still is the Pure Land. So you should not have any doubt. I am a bodhisattva. I am a great bodhisattva. And my wisdom tells me that the best place for me, even as a bodhisattva, okay, is the Pure Land. Who are you to contradict that? It's a cheap ploy, you know. Don't buy that, okay? Let's forget it. Pure Land, Dharma door, we all go to the Pure Land, okay? Hopefully, different quarters. Okay? So far, so good? All right. So we talked about transcending the Dharma realm, the three realms, because those three realms are where you reincarnate. The wheel reincarnation, you're cycling through that, is extremely dangerous. So the objective should be to get out. And if you cannot climb vertically through these Buddhist practices, okay, or non-Buddhist practices, then you better find a way. And the Buddhist offers you the only way that's available is to go to the Pure Land. Yes, 7.
From ML, Master said to get high grade when go to Pure Land. What is the purpose of the high grade?
I have someone who, I don't think she's there right now in San Jose, okay? There's a lady here, sweet lady, who recently lost her husband. And he died recently, and he died of cancer, stomach cancer. And fortunately, it came to us too late. You know, we couldn't save him in time. So we helped him get to the Pure Land. And so he got to the Pure Land. And not only did he get to the Pure Land, it's very unusual as well. He got to the Pure Land, and the family dreamt of it. It's not a commonplace thing, by the way. We don't need to do this for everyone because, remember, you believe, we'll help you in the Pure Land Dharma door. You don't believe, good luck. No one is forcing you, okay? No one is trying to sell you anything here. You don't believe, you prefer to go somewhere else, by all means, go. No one's going to stop you. Okay? But anyway, so when people go to the Pure Land, they don't necessarily come back and send you messages or whatever, only in some special circumstances. It happens in order to, because of these people have a lot of blessings, somehow have a lot of Pure Land blessings. That's why they would have signs that would indicate that the deceased has gone to the Pure Land. For example, Master Z, for example, he's one example before I go to that lady's case. Master Z, when his late wife passed away, you know, I remember vaguely, like he smelled like the room as being very fragrant. Master Z, would you like to remind us? Let's see if this is for real. We cannot hear him speak again.
Yeah, Master, can you hear from us, Master?
No, we can't.
You not?
Can you
Can you
hear?
hear from us, Masters? Master, can you hear from us?
Can you hear me? Go ahead. Oh, it works now. Jung-in, this is more funny than your movies, huh? Go ahead. So, what was your experience? What was your what did you experience?
Yes, I smell like the fragrance. That my first time in my life to smell fragrance like that.
Beautiful fragrance, right?
That's the only time so far. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's not from the incense. Because I experienced that smell in the very early morning, like around 3 to 4 a.m.
This is when?
Yeah.
Is it when did you smell that fragrance? Is it how long after she died?
About fifth week after she dies, Master. Because we keep her remain in our apartment, and then after the day I spread the fragrance in the river, so the next morning
Ashes,
I smell.
you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
The ashes.
And after that, you smell the fragrance. So it's around the 5th week.
Yes, Master. Yeah.
Okay, very good. And so you see, so that's, in Buddhism, those are very subtle. Usually a lot more subtle than him inhaling this wonderful fragrance that's out of this world. Okay, it's not uncommon, but many people experience similar things like that. So you have these signs that good things happen. They don't say that, I made it to the Pure Land, because that would be not necessary. You believe, you believe. You don't believe, no matter what we tell you, you're not going to believe. Who cares? So for many people, they have different things. I've through my last 25 years at Master Shenhua's Dharma, practicing his Dharma, I've heard of many stories, many different stories, okay, from so many people, okay. And so this lady here, that her husband went to the Pure Land. I knew that. And so I didn't say anything because I wanted the family to keep coming to the temple and offer incense, because that's the only time they would come to the temple. Let's face it. So I didn't say anything. But after he went to the Pure Land, she told me later that she dreamt of him. Unfortunately, she's not there in San Jose right now, so I couldn't ask her. Maybe Nữ, can you tell us? What your sister told you? No, we can't hear San Jose.
Thank you, Master. My sister say that when my brother died, before he died, one of the wish that he have is he would like to make a trip back to Vietnam. And then his daughter and my sister dreamt that somehow they took the trip together. And then my brother say that the children say, Dad, it's time for me to go to the airport and go back to America. And then he said, okay, get in the car. And the kids say, oh my God, the car that Daddy drove is like amazing. And he looked really good. And then when he drove them to the airport. And then they checked the ticket and they say, Daddy, I'm so sorry. I misread the ticket. It's supposed to be tomorrow, not today. And he's smiling at them and he say, I knew it's tomorrow. However, I want to spend some time with you. That's why I drove you here. And then the next time, and then they say, and then my sister dreamt that she saw the Vietnamese airline, Air Vietnam, and then it's just like he's taking off in the airplane, go somewhere up in the sky, like that.
Is that the airline with the stewardesses in bikinis?
She just said that it looked like a Vietnamese style, but she didn't describe what they wear.
Vietnamese airline, what can you say? Yeah. Thank you for sharing with us. Yeah.
Thank you, Master.
Yes, 9.
Master, the Vietnamese airline, they have the golden lotus as their symbol.
Oh, well, I'm not aware of that airline. It's probably a fake. All right. So you see, it's happy ending. You know, the message that I'm happy. You know, and I'm not like probably this gentleman here always wanted to have a nice car. So where he went, he probably can have a very nice car himself. So he was showing off. You know, it's a model that's not available in the U.S. nor Vietnam. You know, so that's, you know, if you have the blessings, these people would tend to have some experiences to reinforce their faith. Okay? But if you don't have, so it's not for everyone. Not everyone will experience it. Okay? At all. That's one way to transcend, is horizontally. Get out, go to the Pure Land. That's a lot easier than climbing vertically and trying to get out of the wheel of reincarnation, because going to the Pure Land is a much easier way to get out of the wheel of reincarnation than pushing through vertically. Okay, that's a fact. Okay, because why is it the case? Because in order to get out of the Pure Land and you get out of the 3 realms using a Pure Land Dharma door, it takes a lot less efforts, which is a fact, than climbing up through the 3 realms. Meaning that in order for you to ascend and transcend the 3 realms, your samadhi level has to be increasingly higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. And then at the peak right there, 8th samadhi, that samadhi of the formless realm is much higher than the samadhi of the reciting the Buddha's name, much, much higher. So that's why it's easier. So those are factual things. You don't need the worm imagery to convey it, because it has all kinds of issues. I have all kinds of issues with the worm. All right? Any questions? So the Pure Land Dharma door is by far the easiest way for you to get out, for all of us to get out of this mess. Yes.
네, 마스터 질문이 하나 있습니다. 그렇게 좋은 정토에 사람들이 갔는데 가서 다시 돌아오는 사람들이 있다고 마스터께서 예전에 법문에서 말씀하셨는데, 그들은, 첫 번째 질문, 그들은 왜 자꾸 돌아오며, 그리고 그들은 다시 갈 수 있는 개런티가 있는지 궁금합니다.
Master, I have a question.
it's great that people go to Pure Land. And I heard that one of your Dharma talk, you said those people sometimes come back. And my first question is, why are they coming back? And second question is there a guarantee for the people who came from the Pure Land can go back to the Pure Land?
Invariably, the majority of those people, at least I know of, they go to the Pure Land and they come back. Why? They come back in order to help save those that they really care for. There's an option. This is one of the major reasons why you want to go to the Pure Land. Because when you go to the Pure Land, the way that we teach you is that you go to Pure Land and give you a chance to really help your family and your loved ones. Okay? And that's why they come back. When they come back, it's because come back out of wisdom, meaning the Amitabha Buddha sees that the time, the conditions are ripe for them to come back and help those people they wish to help. Okay? So Amitabha Buddha sees that those people are still stuck here, and therefore he says, it's time for you to come back and rescue them. Okay? So they'll come back, okay, and to this world here, the Saha world, and in whatever form, okay, whatever bodies, they come back. They are not necessarily enlightened yet in the Pure Land, but Amitabha Buddha arranges for them to come back. This is the Buddha's power and Buddha's wisdom. Okay? And then, so these people get to come back, okay, and do their work. Once they're done with their work, they immediately go back. They don't stick around at all, okay? It's not like when they're done saving their loved ones and say, well, you know, let's get married and make a few more loved ones, and so that I can come back and save them in the future. No, they come back because they fulfill their wishes, their past wishes. All right? So typically, as soon as they're done, they go right back to the Pure Land to continue their practice at the Pure Land. So part of the practice of the Pure Land involves going back to the Saha world to do the work and go back to the Pure Land. That's their practice, in other words. Okay? Is there any guarantee? Absolutely. When Amitabha Buddha is involved, he's the one who decides that you should go back. Definitely, he's the one who will arrange for you to go back to the Pure Land as well. If he arranged for you to go to the Saha world on an errand, then he will make sure that you come back as well. Okay? There's so many ways to make you help you come back, so it's nothing to worry about. Okay? You are now running errands for the Buddha, so you're safe. All right? Yes, number 6.
Thưa Thầy, chỗ này là trong Kinh Niệm Phật Ba La Mật có nói rất rõ là phải gặp Phật Di Đà rồi mới trở xuống đây được, là giống như gạch vậy đó. Mình đúc thành gạch rồi phải nung cho đỏ, cho nó cứng rồi. Muốn làm gì làm. Cái người mà giảng sanh rồi đó, trở xuống đây nó không bị ô nhiễm, không bị sụt lùi nữa do cái thần lực với cái phước báo của cõi Cực Lạc. Gạch ngói gì phải nung rồi mới trở xuống đây được, còn không là bị dính trở lại đó. Xin hết. Trong Kinh Niệm Phật Ba La Mật có nói chỗ này.
So, Master, in the sutra of reciting the Buddha's name, Paramita's name, so it says that you need to go to see Amitabha Buddha first, and then you go back to the Saha world. So it's similar that, like the brick, it needs to go through the fire to make it hard. So that way, when you go back to the Saha world, you will not be contaminated, you will not be regret or get into any trouble. It's because of the blessing will protect you.
I'm not familiar with that particular text, but I don't think it's 100% of the cases. In some cases, you don't need to become a brick before you are sent back. It doesn't matter. It's the Buddha's wisdom who decides its conditions are ideal for you to help save them. So you don't need to have power, don't need to have wisdom, don't need to have anything special. The Buddha decides. For example, here's one way. I give you an example to prove my position. You're saying that it's like you need to go see the Amitabha Buddha, let him teach you, train you, so that you have the skills to save them. I'm telling you, it's not always the case. Actually, it's very few, rarely would be the case. Because you may not be able to help save them yet. They don't have the skills to do that. You send back anyway. Because you go back, you may not be able to save them yourself, but you can hook them up with someone else who can save them. You can go to a person who's also there because of Amitabha Buddha's as his emissary, whose job is to bring people back to the Pure Land. So even though you cannot help them directly go back to the Pure Land, but your job is to bring them to the train station and put them on the train, and that's it. Then you're done. Understand? You don't need any special skills. So when you read these sutras, it's not always 100% of the times. That's why you have to be careful. You cannot speak in such a 100% way. It's not always the case. Okay? That's why there's a difference between reading the scriptures and actually understanding what's really going on. The scriptures and the text cannot possibly describe everything, all the various cases and various conditions. That's why I caution all of you to be careful not to be so sure of yourself, especially when it's from your readings, your learning, your knowledge from reading from books. That's a very small portion of the cases. Okay, it's true, but not always. Very small is the case where you have the skills to save them. Think about it. You know, why do you have to save them yourself? Just make sure they go back to the Pure Land. That's the idea of the Pure Land Dharma door. You don't have to do it yourself. Yes, 9.
Master, yesterday lecture you mentioned that Buddha can manifest himself as a human form. So can I recognize him when he manifests, or do you have to be in a high level of arha or sage to recognize him?
You can recognize him when he wants you to know. If he doesn't want you to know, then you won't be able to recognize it. That's why he's a Buddha. Okay, he'll choose who he wants to know. Okay, and Buddhas don't need you to know, by the way. They do their work and they're gone. They don't care if you know or not. Yes, sir, in the back.
I have a question.
Excuse me? Did you just wake up? Were you in a dream? 8.
I have a question. Going back to the worm and trying to get out midway, let's say that a bird comes and eats the worm. Does that mean that the worm loses its blessings? Let's say that the worm gets eaten and goes to the weird reincarnation and becomes a human being.
That's another reason why I don't want to talk about worms. I can't answer your question. Okay, anyone else? Did you want to say something, Xiantong? Go back to sleep. Okay, so we talked about so far at 292, we talk about transcending the 3 realms horizontally, because the going to the Pure Land is the easiest way to transcend the triple realm. Okay? That's by going outside of it, and not necessarily going up vertically, but going outside of it. That's all we care about. Get out of that, however. And the Pure Land is a mechanism for you, a means for you to get out vertically, and you don't need even to cultivate. That's what's beautiful about it. Because you don't have time, or you don't believe. In many cases, a lot of people don't believe, and they still can get out. Okay? So that makes the Pure Land Dharma door extremely, extremely important for our times, because we can help a lot of people. So earlier there's a question about if you recite the Buddha's name, how do you know where, when we're going to be able to, which level and so forth. The way I teach you, this is a Pure Land Dharma door here, I don't even want you to know what level, because personally, number one, I don't know. It's not documented in any books that I know of. So I'm not crazy enough to say something that I cannot verify. So I rather tell you I don't know. I don't know what exactly level it is. Okay? What I do know, because I look at those people who have to enter this Buddha recitation samadhi, okay, and I realize that it's very low. It's not that high. That's a fact. Okay, so that's why when I teach Pure Land, I don't emphasize what level you need to reach. I want you to overshoot. I want you to reach a samadhi level that's higher than necessary to enter this Buddha recitation samadhi. That's all. And there's many reasons for it. I don't care to go into. Okay. You do it, and then you understand why. I'm not here to try to sell you anything. This is why we organize this every year, because some of you are able to enter this Buddha recitation samadhi. And I say, to them, I say, continue, don't stop, get better at it. Okay, so don't worry. No, it's just, the objective is to get there, the best way possible, and not worry about unnecessary details. Because the more I tell you, the more undesirable the knowledge becomes. Just like these people who read books and scriptures, they have no verification on what it really means. Okay, so that's confusing enough for you. So I don't need to add more cases or scenarios and so forth, which will contradict some of these scriptures. So it's not necessary. Just keep going, okay? And eventually, you'll be told personally why, but it's not meant. I don't care to elaborate too much on this. Anyone else? Conk.
I have a question, Master.
Okay.
In great reference, the part of reciting and bowing, I read that the great purity vast assembly, their bodies complete with the two adornments. So what are the two adornments?
The two adornments. Okay.
Yeah.
I looked it up recently, but I forgot again. Please blame me on old age. The two adornments are the adornments of blessings, I believe. Blessings is another word for adornments. Okay, think, for example, that blessings is like manifest in the forms of money. You have blessings, you're blessed, meaning you're rich. Okay, and therefore the clothes you wear are more expensive than the rest of us. So your clothes are more adorned than our clothes. Okay, that's natural, it's automatic. Okay, so blessings is one form of adornment. Okay, and the other adornment is virtues. Okay, the virtues, not the blessings are the material things that people can gauge. Virtues is the adornment of the soul. Your soul, when it's adorned, is very virtuous. If you're lucky, you see it. You're not lucky, tough luck. Okay, so one side is visible, you can see. The virtues is something that you have to look hard in order to see it. But once you see it, you appreciate it. You really appreciate the adornments of virtue. Okay? Someone help me. I will look it up and verify it again, but that's what I remember vaguely, the two adornments. All right? Yes? Did you want to verify it? Yes.
It's 福德庄严以及这个智慧庄严。So wisdom and福德, blessings and virtues. That's the two adornments.
That's what I just said. I held my breath for so long and say, was I wrong? Did finally someone caught me with my Alzheimer's, onset Alzheimer's? I don't remember things anymore. Huh?
Wisdom is the second one.
Wisdom is second?
Yeah, you say blessings and virtues.
Okay. Wisdom is another. There's another. Virtues is wisdom is manifested by virtues. Okay, because what happens is that when you talk to people about wisdom, they don't know what wisdom is. But when you talk about virtues, then it's easier for you to understand. Okay? Wisdoms cannot be seen. But you observe wisdom through virtuous conduct. All right? So, yes, so I stand corrected. The number 2 is wisdom, or if you will, virtues. Thank you for the input. All right, anyone else? If not, we stop here tonight. Thank you all.